a great founder should be focused on three things. The strategy, like what's in your head. That is strategy to me. Like, I want to build this. This is where I want to build it. This is where I envision the company to go. I think hiring is really a superpower. Bringing the right people in around you, whether it's internal, whether it's external, partners, connecting with you, meeting a retailer, hiring your first person. And the third thing, if the company needs it, is fundraising, because people make bets on people, especially in the early days. So you should be able to sell your product. You should be able to communicate everything you have in your head. You should be talented enough to tell people about it. You're always your own salesperson. So I think people will ask me a lot, like, where do I get money? You should be talking about your product. Everyone will listen. Like, this is what I'm building, or this is what I've just done. And it's not, here's something that's coming soon. It's like real purposeful communication. And I think too many founders are not strong enough about communicating. And that's really important.
Talk to me about saying no. I'm building this community of entrepreneurs, and one of the topics is going to be how to say no. How does Ross say no? How did you build that muscle?
It's a really good question. I think I tweeted on it a few months ago, and it was something that I think is a superpower for entrepreneurs or just people in general, is learning how to say no. I think everything should be measured into like resource allocation, time allocation, capital allocation. And if it doesn't contribute towards the goal you're going towards, then I just say no. I'm very clear. I'm very firm. I'm respectful. And I think you've got to appreciate your time the most. So I learned how to say no by just saying no, being polite, being professional, but being intense. It's helped me a lot. I say no to 99% of things, because if it doesn't impact what I'm focused on at the time, it's a complete distraction.
Makes sense. Let's flip it over to saying yes and talk about investors, investment. You have a handful of celebrity investors and big name investors. Talk to me about the experience of speaking to investors, getting people on board with what you're building, and ultimately getting to yes, and that place where you're able to actually fund the machine.
Yeah, my previous company, we had raised a lot of money, mainly because the company needed capital to succeed. The supply chain, CapEx heavy. So I've raised something close to $150 million in my last company. Some of the best investors, Peter Thiel, Founders Fund, a bunch of celebrities. None of it really matters unless you're building a great company. I just want to say that a great company is not built on how much money they've raised. It's built on building a great company. So I just want to make sure that's clear. This time around, it's a little bit different. We've been able to self-support the business due to success in previous endeavors. But I think, a great founder should be focused on three things. The strategy, like what's in your head. That is strategy to me. Like, I want to build this. This is where I want to build it. This is where I envision the company to go. I think hiring is really a superpower. Bringing the right people in around you, whether it's internal, whether it's external, partners, connecting with you, meeting a retailer, hiring your first person. And the third thing, if the company needs it, is fundraising, because people make bets on people, especially in the early days. So you should be able to sell your product. You should be able to communicate everything you have in your head. You should be talented enough to tell people about it. You're always your own salesperson. So I think people will ask me a lot, like, where do I get money? You should be talking about your product. Everyone will listen. Like, this is what I'm building, or this is what I've just done. And it's not, here's something that's coming soon. It's like real purposeful communication. And I think too many founders are not strong enough about communicating. And that's really important.
Yeah, it's a fascinating space. I've been working with a handful of startups in an advisory role and helping with some fundraising. And so getting a lot of exposure to people who need capital as well as people who have the capital. And the questions that go back and forth between the two of them, it's fascinating to observe. And yeah, to your main kind of thesis is laser focus. And that's the feedback that I've been observing from these investors and from those looking for capital, that like, if you don't have laser focus, everything becomes a distraction and there's no chance of success.
Yeah, less is more.
It's a hard pill for me to swallow because I consider myself a generalist and I like doing a lot of things versus, a laser focus on a certain thing. But I think it's different strokes for different folks. But if you don't have the specificity and focus around the things that matter, that part becomes a challenge then.
Yeah, I think you've got to earn the right to be horizontally ambitious. I did one thing for 5 years and that's all I did. And now launching my second thing, I'm also investing. I'm also speaking to other founders a bit more and deploying capital into other great people. So I think I said to myself, let me earn that right.
How do you make decisions when it comes to venture investing?
Primarily people. I met some great founders that I think have the personality and pattern recognition that I think are going to at least give it their best shot. In an early stage company, there's very little data. You don't really know how it's going to turn. Month to month can vary a lot. But at the end of the day, making a bet on people. So that's really where I've been focused on. And then on some other stuff, I'm very bullish on the category. I believe in a recent investment I made. There's a better for you protein bar, very minimal ingredients, kind of disrupting what is a very saturated space and doing it very, very well. It's very tasty. And it's like 7 ingredients that you can find in your cupboard. I believe in that space. I believe in that more than, a maximum protein, minimum calorie bar, because I think health is what we're all optimizing for. So primarily people.
Is it a biblical bar name?
Yeah. It's a great, great founder, young guy, Jake.
Oh yeah, Jacob Bar, right?
Jacob Bar, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Great bar. I've made about 15 investments in the last couple of years, probably too many. I'm only really spending time on what I can control my outcome to be, and that's cadence.
It's fun to bet on people and give your vote of confidence on a person executing. I've made a couple of angel investments as well, and my decision-making process was pretty similar. One of them was like, I'd follow you into a burning room if you asked me to, because I trust you so much, kind of a thing. And like, that's what it has to be. Like, you just have to have that trust that the person is going to simply figure it out. Like, you don't know the answers. They might not know the answers, but they're going to bulldoze their way to getting there.
Yeah. There's people that are going to enter running that you'll know, and you'll say, you don't have it. You just know. You're just going to buckle in mile 20. You're just not going to grit out. And there's people that will tell you, Jonathan, I'm going to go and run a marathon. And you're like, you know what? You're the kind of person that could get to mile 26 and just grit it out. It's in business. I believe in that. There's people that are the perfect shoe, the perfect strategy, the perfect electrolytes. Everything's perfect, and they'll still not grit out. And there's people that are running dog trainers, a handheld, and just finish the job. No complaining. No Strava post.
Talk to me more about failing fast. And people are obsessed with waiting until things are perfect versus like getting market exposure and getting somebody to tell you and hearing enough, not just one person giving feedback, but again, to use a phrase you're saying, pattern recognition. Talk to me about that.
Launching is just feedback. We've iterated on our flavors 3 times since launch. We've never talked about it, but we had to launch the first one to know that it was too sweet. We had to launch the second one to know that the carbonation was too high. And then now, a product that will launch in June will be a reformulated version because we've sold millions of cans now. So it's never too early to launch. There is moments where it's too early, of course. You got to go through the basics, but just launch. Just get the feedback because it's never going to be perfect. And you got to be quick on your feet. You got to be malleable and not design only for you. Because if you're designing for you, you're designing in a bubble. And you got to get the product out there.
Yeah, I love that. I think that it's also a signal of confidence, right? Like, do you have the confidence to be able to fail and learn? And it's not failure if you learn from it, right? Like, I think about going back to the 4 marathons I tried to BQ and break 3 in. Like, I failed because I didn't learn from them. And I ended up getting into trail running, and it changed my perspective entirely. And I stopped being so obsessed with the times. And then I finally ran the 259 that I've been trying to run the whole time. I tried to break 255 and I didn't succeed at that, but I learned from that experience. And it's like that, you have to put yourself out there. And if you don't succeed, you must use it as a learning experience versus I'll just try again next time.
Totally. It's all bigger than the current goal. I think focusing on, short-term goals, but with a long-term horizon, you probably have a goal 3-4 years from now, but these small steps are going to help to get you there. Whether it's learning about the last race that you didn't accomplish your goal, there's a reason why, and you might take that learning in. I think, failures, we don't talk about failures. We talk about expenses. They're just line items, and that's what we call them. Like, that expense was high. We're going to learn from it. That's a small expense. Write it off. It's not a big deal. So that's how we think about these quote unquote failures at Cadence. And again, it's just Kevlar.
I love that. Going back a little bit, you said that a great founder must focus on 3 things and 3 things only. One of them that you mentioned was hiring. For those listening who are looking to build something or build a team, or maybe they're at an organization that they have people that they hire, like, how do you think about hiring and what have you learned along the way?
Yeah, I've hired over about 120 people as a founder across 2 companies. We have about 15, 16 at Cadence now. We had about 100 in my last company. We have a pretty intense hiring process, multiple stage gates. One of the things I'll say is it comes from a culture, and culture starts with the founder. And you can never let an HR department, some values book, some consultant tell you how to hire or how to build your brand in terms of culture. You know the type of people you want to spend your time around. And if you can combine that with excellence, you can figure it out. And I spent a lot of time in my first company paying experts to teach me how to hire and reading this book. And here's the process. And now it is, I am going to spend 60 plus hours in the trenches. And this only, I'll preface this by saying to a certain point, like sub 100 million, maybe sub 50 million. It is generalists who are hungry as shit that want to do as much as possible and can flex up and can flex down. Until you reach 50 million, you don't need these big ticket, big corporate, super experienced individuals. I'll take people with 1 to 3 years who have seen a little bit of greatness, but not great. And I want to spend time with them and we'll figure it out. Now, at 50 plus, I'm probably looking for a different type of individual. And I think it's important to understand that people and companies do not grow at the same pace. We will grow from 1 to 10 to 100. I do not grow 1,000% a year. Companies can. So who you have today does not mean that they will be right for you in a year. And I think it's important that founders realize that it's hard, but it is often the case.